Have you ever accepted anything as true or as certain to happen without any proof? Then it's you we're talking about. Let's talk about making assumptions. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Inside Life with One Step Forward. Yes, what we talk about the daily realities of life, the things that we do that we overlook and we don't think we are. So before to be able to work on them and change our attitude for a positive environment. So today we'll be talking about making assumptions. Meanwhile, if this is your first time of coming here, please remember to subscribe to the channel. Remember to like the videos. Remember to comment. You can always share your own experiences about each topic we discuss here. And you can always leave a heart for us. Thank you very much. Let's begin. The reason why I talk about this topic is because most of us are so familiar with making assumptions to the point that we don't even know if it is faulty. So I brought up this point so that we should examine ourselves and work on our attitude to make sure we stop assuming. Assumption is a thing that is accepted as true or as certain without any proof. So therefore, you just accept without even going detailing into the veracity of that thing. Okay, other synonyms of assumption are presumption, belief, expectation, speculation, etc. And then you have the exact opposite of assumption, which is disbelief, disregard. You don't believe in it because you haven't gotten to the root of it. So it's just the exact opposite of assumption. Now, there are many elements. Now, we can say we cannot assume, but it's very easy to assume. So how does it start? Assumption starts when you don't have a complete information of the thing you're talking about. And you fail to ask the information. And by failing to ask, you fill your own blank spaces and take it for what you think it is. So it's something that most of us have done. You easily get into assumption because you don't have that information and you fail to ask. It's always good to ask. So before we consider assumption, there are three elements we have to take into consideration. The first element, you don't have a complete information. The second element, you don't ask the complete information. And the third element, you fill in the blank spaces. So you need those three elements to constitute assumption. And assumption is toxic because it doesn't make you responsible for your actions, for your words. You just get up and say anything. You just imagine, maybe from your past experiences or from what you've heard from people. Yes, this is how you make such decisions. Maybe you heard from people, you just think, you just imagine, and you assume that imagination to be right. Please, we really have to work on this because most of us have gotten involved in one way or the other. Sometimes somebody takes, for example, someone says, I'm going to call you at 3 o'clock. I'm owing you, but I'll call you at 3 o'clock to give you that money. Okay, and now it's let me say 2:45 or so, and his phone gets stolen. He doesn't have a number offhand. He's trying to find ways to get to you. And now to you, because that person didn't call, you fill in the blank spaces. Oh, he didn't call because he doesn't have that money, right? I will deal with him. This is the last time. Last time he did that. The other time he did that to this person. You're already assuming. Yes, instead of you to find a way to ask. Instead of you to find a way to ask, you stay here and you assume. Because why? On your mind, you don't want to ask, first of all. Secondly, you believe this person from what you've heard from his past experiences. So you believe he maybe wants to play foul play. And thirdly, you decided to fit in your own ideas and believe what you fit in. So after examining the content of assumption, I think it's good for us to avoid assumption as a plague. So some of the reasons why we should avoid assumption include: 1, we should avoid assumption because it's get us stuck in the past. Yes, because when you assume, it's as a result of hearsays What did you hear about this person in this same situation? You know, you don't have time to think positively. You know, you just get stuck with what happened, what you heard last time, or what happened last time, and you begin to bring it into the present time. So that is very, very bad. It's a negative something. Number two, assumption helps us to be very, very toxic. How? Because the way you lash out to the person you assumed about, it's usually not good. And by this, it brings a lot of stress to both parties. To you, lashing out wrongfully, and to the other person you're talking to. So assumption is not really good because it brings a lot of toxicity, in your system. And rule number three, assumption is bad because it's a very, very lazy behavior. So that is the reason why we should avoid it, because it's you're supposed to get up. If you have an information that you're not so sure, you're supposed to get up and look for the truth. But because you are lazy, you don't even care. You just sit and fill in the blank spaces yourself, which for the most part, what you think are usually wrong. So therefore, it's that laziness that makes you to sit comfortably and just decide on what you think is right and fill in the blank spaces. That's so wrong. Let's learn to find out so let's learn to ask questions to the right people at the right time and find always the answers to our doubts. Let's not fill in the blank spaces our own self. Okay, another reason why we should avoid assumption, the fourth reason, is because assumptions are usually wrong. Oh yes, for the most part, assumptions are wrong because they are baseless, and we make some of the assumptions we make them from emotions, like I said, from hearsays, which may not necessarily be right. They come up from our own imaginations, and so when we assume, they are usually wrong. Let's take time to talk to this person, take time to meet this person, ask questions. It's okay to ask questions where you are doubting. Don't sit and fill in the blank spaces yourself. So this is so important. So most of us have fallen into this trap where we assume, consciously or unconsciously. It's very, very okay to examine ourselves and see if we are people who practice making assumptions and try to work on it, because it's really, really, really hurting to assume and base your anger, your accusations on just mere assumptions. So it's okay for us to examine ourselves. Let's change. Let's try to work on that and stop making assumptions. Let's always ask questions each time with doubt. It's okay to meet the right people and ask the right questions, even if the responses we get, even if they hurt us, but they are the truth. It's always good to know the truth and nothing but the truth. So when you stand by the truth and not based on hearsays or based on the past experiences. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you. And of course, the comment section is open. You can share your views on making assumption. Have you ever made assumption? Or did somebody ever assume that you did what you didn't do and blamed you for what you didn't do? Anything? So, of course, the comment section is open for you to share your own experiences. Thank you for watching. And for you who was here, of course, for your first time, please, before you leave, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I love you.